All right. The goal of this podcast is to not talk about coronavirus the whole time. I want to talk about a few things, not nothing, like not too much. Drink is way out of my way. Okay, so just want to get into a few things. I'm peeling like a snake. My whole body's like all the skin of my body is coming off from from when I went to Florida. I got a burned up really bad, and now my skin is completely falling off my body. So it's kind of everywhere. I've been vacuuming everywhere I go essentially because I'm like a snake that's coming out of its shell. So that's one thing I've been dealing with. Making sure this thing's on. I think we're on it's Thursday. You guys are watching this. So day 4 of total lockdown in Maryland. I don't know where most of the world is sitting at. I'm not too sure. But I know Maryland is completely on lockdown. It's up to the point now where Hogan came out and he said if you are caught leaving your house for any reasons besides essential obligations, so I guess if you still work, grocery stores an essential item, going to like convenience stores even an essential item, liquor stores is an essential item, which is hilarious. And then it's like hardware stores, like Home Depots, Lowe's, garden stores, so like Homestead Gardens near us. Just a bunch of these essential places that you need to go. And then obviously if you have a job, everything else is completely shut down. Like you're not supposed to do anything else. It's gotten to that point where I think it's like a $5,000 fine or like 1 year in prison, which is fascinating because you could always, if you get pulled over by a cop, you could just say, I'm going to the grocery store. It's more or less just like a fear tactic, which is fine. It makes sense. But it makes you think. It makes you think about where we are in the coronavirus. Apparently, a bunch of the prior predictions that first came out talking about millions and millions of people dying, those people have retracted the statements. I'm not too sure on that, but once again, this podcast is just me talking, so factually, it could be off. But I'm sure you guys are aware of that if you listen to the podcast on a regular basis. But apparently, I remember when I first heard the numbers, they were talking about millions of people dying, and I was there was a few things that popped in my head, but the first one was, holy shit, if that's even the case, if that's remotely true, you would hope that somebody would really try to come up with convincing evidence to back a statement so absurd. A million people dying of something that at the time, this was like months ago, like a month ago when they were making these predictions, seemed so outrageous, and it provoked so much fear inside of everybody. And it's almost like that was a starting gate of all this. The fear that is around this coronavirus is insane. It just seems so panicky. But apparently a lot of those numbers have been revoked, and it's not, I don't know. I don't believe it's going to be that high. I don't believe we're almost done with it. Hopefully July, things are really back to normal, but we're going to be on lockdown for a while. And it makes you almost question, like, is this lockdown? Essentially in Maryland right now, and I'm sure it's going to continue throughout the rest of the world or throughout the rest of the country. It's going to be like a total shutdown, like a complete shutdown, probably across the country, where you can't leave your house unless you're going to get something essential. And it feels very it almost feels like a communist state. But it makes you question a few things. How much longer do the American people just deal with it? Like how much the predictions were so bold at the beginning, so outrageous. And when I'm saying this, I'm not discounting the people who have passed away. It's tragic. But it almost makes you want to put the question, like the other possibility at play, where do we just go with our normal days? We don't do this lockdown thing. We just kind of let people do what they do. Is that possibly a better option, where if everyone's going to get infected, like we really think that this virus is, we think this virus is, it is. We don't think, we know factually it spreads very easily. Everyone's going to get it, right? That's kind of the consensus, at least if you watch the news. But definitely, I believe a lot of scientists believe that also. If everyone is bound to develop this coronavirus, does it make sense to prolong? It does make sense, because the reason why they're doing this lockdown, the reason why they're trying to, what they're trying to do is slow down the spread, right? The hospitals already can't handle the heavy duty traffic. So they're trying to and this is my opinion, I think they're trying to prolong the spread of it, because these poor doctors and these poor nurses, any medical professional is working double time. And then you have arrogant people out there just doing crazy things, not practicing social distancing at all, which I think was maybe me at the beginning when I was in Florida. But, now I'm on complete lockdown. I'm obeying all the rules and everything. But it makes you almost think, is another hypothesis where if you just let everyone do whatever they want, like a normal day for a whole week straight, and it spreads like a wildfire and everybody gets it, if we just go through those 2 weeks of absolute chaos or a week of chaos, is that a better option than a slow, steady chaos? And look, I don't have the answer for either one, but I have heard that argument, and it's one of those arguments that make you go like, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. Why would you do that? But the more you look at the facts of what coronavirus is, it's almost like, is that eventually going to happen? Can you even stop it? Is it even possible to remotely contain this disease, And look, I don't have the answers, and I don't think anybody has the answers. And I think that's one of the reasons why this is such a trying time for everybody, because everywhere you look, there's a different statistic that's being brought up. There's a different age of somebody who can get it. There's a different person saying a different thing that didn't even relatively make sense prior, and it's one of those things that as the days go on, as the hours go on, every other hour, there's a different study coming out. There's a different vaccine, or vaccine possibility, different combination of medicine that can help you. And it's a fascinating argument to make. Do you just kind of let the dogs loose and see what happens? I don't know. I'm not sure at all. Who knows? But if the statistics that we're getting are right, where the older population are the ones who really suffer the most, then can you delay an economic downfall by just forcing the older population to stay inside and not go out, and then to maintain a semi-healthy economy, do you let people between the ages of 18 to 40 to go back to work? I don't know. How much leash do you give? Or do you just do what Maryland did and just shut down everything? I think there's a valid argument both ways. I think there's at least a reason to listen to both ways, rather than just shutting out. And I'm not a proponent I'm not picking a side, because I don't know. I shouldn't be making these rules, which, also that could be a case made for I shouldn't even be talking about them, but it is a podcast, and it is something that I do think about. I do wonder, like, which option is a better option, but I don't think, at the end of the day, this is a disease, and I don't think we shouldn't be looking at options. We should be looking at facts and strictly only making decisions off of facts, and anything that's not a factual statement shouldn't even be addressed. And I hate how the media is making this such a selling point, right? This is the most that CNN and Fox have ever profited, probably all year, and that's a dark reality of all this, is the media companies. And, this has always been a media company goal. This is always the this is the ultimate prize for a news outlet or any type of media company that profits off of news, is disaster, right? Disaster is what, good things get everybody's heads turning, but disaster gets everybody's head to turn and to watch, right? Good things, everyone looks, but no one watches, right? But when disaster strikes, everybody's paying attention. And it's so sickening, but I think it's human nature too at the same time. But I think it is so sickening to see everybody just so obsessed with it. And, once again, I'm a hypocrite. This is a fourth podcast where I'm talking about it, at least a little bit. In this podcast, I want to talk a little bit more, as you can see in the title. I want to talk about keto and I think tips that I think you could possibly do to help at least maintain some level of health during this lockout. I'm not a scientist, but this is just what I'm doing. So everything that I'm talking about is what I'm doing and what I find helps me the most. But this time will pass, and it's interesting. It's a fascinating subject to talk about. What is the economy going to look like after this? Are people going to be confident to just go back to work? And I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a time where everyone is tired of this, and I think there's going to be a huge rebound effect. And this is also what sucks about this, is no matter how much you really try to maintain the chaos and to keep a lid on it as much as you possibly can, there's going to be a point where if it's declared by the government, or if people just get sick and tired of it, where people start going back to the normal activities, there's going to be a rebound. Unless, it's a big unless, but it's also a possibility, unless there is a vaccine that comes out or a medicine that everybody can take that's, pushed by the government pays for it, not some bullshit because look, if a vaccine does come out, and if a private industry does come out with a vaccine or a medicine and it's pushed by them, they're going to be looking to reach a higher profit margin as much as they possibly can, and it's like, you don't want to say that that's the truth, but the reason why a lot of Ford factories and car companies haven't started producing face masks and ventilators is because they have the capital, but they still want to push their products. And it's one of those things where it sucks, but it's also the truth. Like capitalism, you look out for yourself. So if these vaccines are developed by private industries, then you're going to be looking probably for a more expensive, and it's going to create a social class. But that's something for a whole different, subject, a whole different podcast. The future of society and class structures, which I think is going to be such a vast distinction between upper class and lower class in the future. But you would hope the only way that there's not a rebound effect is if we all get put on lockdown, which is fine. If that's the way it works, we should do it. But is if we can get a vaccine and medication and we could take it, so when we do go back to work, we're all immune to it. But then you run the risk of vaccinators, going crazy. The only way that this is going to, like that guy said on Joe Rogan's podcast, which at the time he said it was so shocking, you're like, fuck, no, I hope that's not true. But the more you think about it, the more you're like, oh, well, maybe that is true. I think the quickest way for this thing to go and pass is for a total infection. Unless, like I said, we can figure out a way to eradicate it, and then that eradication method is easily accessible by everybody. Because if it's just accessible by the middle class and the upper class, then the lower class suffers. And then there's more resentment towards the government, which isn't good. And, it's just there's a lot of moving parts here. And also it sucks when a lot of people are, trust me, the stimulus package is great. That $1,200 is going to help a lot of people. It's going to help me. But it's going to help a lot of businesses. But it also sucks when most people are so nearsighted that they don't even see the long-term effects of this. I mean, this could and very well likely is going to set us in one of the greatest recessions we have ever seen as a country. And not just a regular recession, like I said on the last podcast. We're working in a world now that isn't just industrial based. I mean, those days are come and gone. We are a technology based, transactional finance economy, man. I mean, we work off of relationships with other countries. I mean, you won't be walking around cities anymore and seeing steel production like you did during the Great Depression. And you could get out of the Great Depression because a war breaks out and everybody starts making more things. What gets us out of this? What gets us out of this? Trust. The way money is transactioned nowadays is off of trust of the government, people, and local businesses and relationships with the world. So I know it will all work out, and at the end of the day, everything will be okay. But you do worry, at least for me, I'm constantly always thinking about it, even when I'm like doing other things. I'm subconsciously aware of it, right? I'm aware of it, which I think is half the battle. I think a lot of people aren't aware of it, or I think they're more in fear than anything else. But I think there's real applicable things you can be thinking about that could put you at ease and also can help other people and also could just make you feel better about the situation. But yeah, I hope that this does slow it down, and I'm interested to see if a lot of other states follow Maryland. If you're from Maryland, you don't say the Y. If you're not from Maryland, you say the Y. Maryland. I think I say Maryland, like Baltimore. But we shall see. We shall see how much patience people have left with this crisis. One thing you can do if you guys are on lockdown is there's on Netflix. I'm sure everybody has seen it already, but I've fucking crushed. Oh, another thing that I love watching, which I watched like episodes 7 to 10, and then the reunion was Love Is Blind. My girlfriend had me sit down and watch it. Like, she's been begging me for like, Taylor has been begging me for like 2 weeks to watch it. I'm like, fuck no, I don't want to do that. Because I like watching shows with like substance, kind of, up to a point. Actually, that's not true. I want it to be true, but I don't think it is true, because when I watch TV, it is just nothing I watch is really intelligent. Yeah. I want that to be true. That's part of my ego, but it's just not the truth. At the end of the day, it's not the truth. I watch things with no substance, because it's like relaxed time. Too much relaxed time lately on lockdown. Anyways, it's called Love Is Blind. So essentially, if you guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend going to watch it. But before you leave this podcast, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a rating on Apple, Spotify, and subscribe and like the video on YouTube. Make sure you guys are keeping up with my clips. 3 o'clock, Monday and Friday, I have a clip that comes out. Just a short little clip showing love to those help also. And then Tuesday and Thursday, 5 p.m. Sorry, I digress. 6 a.m. on Spotify and iTunes. 6 a.m. Tuesday and Thursdays for the audio listeners. YouTube's 5 p.m. Tuesday, Thursdays. It's called Love Is Blind. It's actually a really good show. So essentially what the idea of the show is like I said, I didn't see the first few episodes, so I'm not too knowledgeable on those specific ones. But it looks like the beginning is these people. There's I think there's 6 guys. 6, 12. 3, 6, 12. 6 guys, 6 girls, and they sit in pods that you can hear people across the pods, but you can't see them. And I think they rotate. I honestly don't know, but essentially what happens is they date. I think a few times, I don't know, 10 times. I'm not sure, but they date, and eventually what they do, you sign up. When you sign up for the show, you're aware of what you're doing. So that was my first thing, is I'm thinking about what the show is, and then I'm starting to think about, the people that sign up for the show are probably a little bit crazy, I would say, because they're going into it knowing that they're going to get married, which is, kind of crazy. But I'm sure, you also, if you're on TV, the social media content that you get to, especially if you're on Netflix, They probably went into it. This is just me thinking, the marketing side of my brain. They went into it trying to make money off of the show, which makes perfect sense. Yeah, makes sense to me at least. But so they go into the show and they go in like these pods. And I don't know how long they have in the pods, but they eventually ask the person on the opposite side. By the way, once again, they don't see them, but they can talk to them. And while they're talking, that's the dating time. They ask them to marry them. So they get engaged. And then when they get engaged, then they see each other for the first time. It's insane. I mean, all the guys look good. All the girls look good. So everyone looks. I was so shallow of me saying that. No, if they don't look, sorry. But no, that's true. Like, the idea of the show is you emotionally connect to somebody. Hopefully it leads to physical connection. The whole idea of the show is love blind? Can you love somebody without seeing them? I say yes. The show is an experiment to try to prove that hypothesis, yes or no, which is actually a very fascinating idea for a TV show. TV show goes on, they go on a honeymoon. It's just like a regular wedding. After you get engaged to somebody, except in this show, they go on a honeymoon, kind of to get to know the person. And then they like live together. And then they have like, I think like 12 weeks or like 2 months. Yeah, 2 months, 3 months, no, 2 months. I don't know, like 8 to 12 weeks. And then the wedding comes around. And then they go up and it's like legit wedding. Like every time you think like, oh, where's the joke in the show? It's not. And then the priest asked them, do you take her? Or do you take him as your lawfully wedded husband or wife? And, they say yes and no. But it's a really fascinating show. It's one of the shows where your jaws just drop. You're like, what the fuck am I watching? But the cool thing about the show, and then I'm going to get to one more show. Then I'm going to get to actually what I want to talk about. The cool thing about the show is that these people are actually people. Like, they're not actors and actresses. Like, there's one guy on it named Damian Powers. He's a super cool guy. Like, as I'm watching the show, I'm like, oh, I like that guy a lot. He's, and then there's girls that you're like, oh, she's really cool. But it was a cool show because you can see, I liked how the people on the show, I'm not going to give it away. There's not really much to give away. There's only two choices: they get married or don't get married. And I don't know the people by name, so I can't spoil it that way. But it's really cool to watch a reality TV show where the people on the show acknowledge that they're on a TV show. And I think that's cool. Like, they meet the parents, and the parents are like, they're on this experiment, and I know they have to do it in 12 weeks. So they're like acknowledging that, they're on a TV show. But it's definitely a show that it's on Netflix. I think there's like 11 episodes, like an hour, 20 minutes each episode is. So it's pretty long. And that's what's crazy about TV shows these days. Each episode is it's like a fucking movie. And Netflix just posts everything up at once because Netflix is a binge platform, especially now, dude. Netflix is probably going bonkers right now with their stock market and their stock price, and their revenue is probably going through the roof, And if you're on Netflix right now, you're doing so well. Like, you're doing so well because everybody's watching it. And there's no competitors against Netflix. But it's a show, it's called Love is Blind. I highly recommend it. Taylor got me into it. I thank her for that. It was actually a really good show. Another one, which I watched every episode, which I think it's really fun. It's a really good show. It's a really interesting show. I think it's still number one trending on Netflix. And I think if you're listening to this or watching this podcast right now and you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. Or if you have seen it, just bear with me. And then I'm going to talk about actually something with substance. I hope, maybe not. It's called Tiger King. And the whole I don't know that word. But the whole idea of the show is it's basically giving you an undercover it's encapsulating the world of petting zoos, but like exotic petting zoos. And they follow few key people. They follow Joe Exotic, who's the main guy, who's a fucking absolute he's a meme of himself. Like, he is a walking meme. He is everything about him. So he's a gay man, but he's like a gay, tough white man who loves to shoot and blow things up. He's like polyamory. He's like married 2 guys at once. He has a mullet. He's all tatted up. He's pierced all the way up. He plays with tigers, lions, monkeys, chimps, and he owns this like super fucking shady, this like super shady petting zoo or exotic petting zoo with tigers and lions and leopards and anything you can imagine in the middle of butt crack fucking Oklahoma. And he's like sings, but it turned out that was fake. But he's just a crazy dude. He's like a meth head. He's a fucking just out there just doing whatever. And so it follows him, and it follows this girl named Carol, who's like accused of killing her husband, like feeding her to the tigers, and she's like the PETA woman, and she's trying to take care of everybody. And then there's like this Doc and Tell guy who's like actually, at least as far as we know, like a professional, like exotic animal taker care of her, and he has a place in like Myrtle Beach. So he's in Myrtle Beach, Carol's in Florida, and Joe Exotic is in Oklahoma. And it just kind of shows like it exposes like the big cat market that's like an illegal trading grounds, which I think is kind of fascinating. It's actually, the presence of the show is really cool because at the end it does showcase how just the world of exotic animals, especially big cats, is so corrupt. Like it shows a stat like 5 to 10,000 tigers live in the United States. I think like of 4,000 are from Texas, and there's only like less than 4,000 in the wild. And but it's a really fascinating show. It's very up to date. I think the guy's name is Eric Green, the director, the producer, and the writer. He does an amazing job. It's good, especially the first few episodes. It's really fascinating. I wasn't aware of the world of big cats, but those are 2 shows I think can help you get through. like we're really struggling here. Like we're really hunkered down. Like life is hard when it's really not. We're actually forced to like stay home, which is kind of cool. And look. On top of that, we're also forced to stay home, and you can file for unemployment, and you also get a stimulus check and tax returns and taxes that got pushed back. Like we get to stay at home. And like if you're in school, for me, the teachers are making the grading policy so much looser. Like you can turn papers pretty much in whenever, and they're grading softer. My heart does go out to all the people like Taylor who are supposed to be graduating and they don't get to walk across stage. And it also goes out. One of my buddies posted a picture of, he's a high school baseball coach at my former high school, and he posted a picture with one of the players, and it's sad because so many people are. Like, I know going in my senior year of baseball, like, it was cool. Like, it was your last time playing baseball in high school. And at the time, I was fucking stupid, and I didn't think much of it. But now looking back at it, I would have been devastated if I couldn't play baseball my senior year. So my heart does go out to all these people. But at the same time, dude, we're fucking on lockdown. Everything's cool. We're making money. We live in the 21st century. It's not like 1920s where we're doing all right. One thing I do want to talk about real quick before I finish up the podcast. One thing I do want to possibly... So we were playing this game called Cards Against Humanity, which I'm sure you guys... I'm just picking my skin over here. I'm sure you guys know what that is. Cards Against Humanity is it's a game with disturbing answers on a card, and it's intended to make everybody very uncomfortable. So I started to do it. I kind of stopped for multiple reasons. But I was thinking about doing a podcast with just setting up the camera and putting a mic in the middle of the table and doing a podcast where I just record like a family night card game, which I think would be super fascinating. I have a few ideas I'm thinking about for like extra episodes. But, I think it would be really fascinating just to kind of listen in on like a family playing cards, which it sounds dumb, but I don't think it would be. I think it would be super entertaining for everybody. The only issue I worry about is when people are on camera, they do act a little weird. I think I don't do that too much because I've always kind of done something on YouTube. I've been like on camera since I was like in 10th grade, not like professionally, but just recording my dumb face and stuff, working out and playing Call of Duty video games. Actually, probably since middle school. But anyways, I've been thinking about doing that, but who knows? But the one thing I did want to talk about real quick before I do let you guys go. I see a lot of things on social media, and I hear a lot of things, and I know a lot of people who are struggling with the lockdown, in the sense of health. I see a lot of memes going into the summer, just like super fat, like people looking like Garfield, just like a big fat person. I want to just kind of give a few tips. Once again, not a professional, just what I'm doing. It's just helping me a lot. And it's what I think you can do to help yourself. And if you want to look into the science of it, because I know a lot of people have a very negative, I've talked about it before on the podcast. I'm sure I have many times. I'm very repetitive, that's a flaw I think I have. I'm not sure if it's a flaw or whatnot, but once again, I digress. So I think it's funny, right? It's cool. I get it. But I don't think it's funny because I know for me, when I'm really out of shape and fat, I hate my life. I don't feel good. So it makes me just not happy. I'm aggressive. I'm just not in a good mood ever. I'm just a cunt, honestly. So one thing that I have found that I think could help a lot of people, since there's a few issues when you're on lockdown. One of the major ones, probably the second major one is gyms are closed, right? So you can't go somewhere to work out. And, you could tell somebody, well, you don't need a gym to work out. But yeah, I get it. That's true. But there's something about getting charged $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70 a month that makes you want to go use that facility, the service that you're using to work out. So there's an ownership that is associated with a gym membership. And there's also a place to go. Just like it's hard for a lot of people to do homework and study in their house. And that's why people go to Starbucks, or that's why people go to coffee shops and school to study, because it's a place to go. It's the environment. It enables you to work better. So a gym is like that for a lot of people. And there's also a motivational atmosphere. I know a lot of people who, one of the main reasons they don't work out is because their family or their significant other doesn't work out, which is, I'm sorry for those people. That sucks. But when you go to a gym, everyone there is there with a purpose. So that sucks. Which you can do. You can supplement a lot of things like that. You can go on a walk twice a day, do a 20-minute walk twice a day. One of them, jog, 2-minute intervals, run for 2 minutes, walk for 2 minutes, run for 2 minutes, walk for 2 minutes. Do that 10 times. Do that twice a day. Do it once a day, then walk 20 minutes a day. Try to do every day. Do 100 push-ups, 100 air squats, and then like 100 sit-ups. Break it up. Do sets of 25 every 5 hours or every 4 hours. There's so many things you can do. So that's the working out side. But I think the hardest part is when this is going on for everybody, something I'm struggling with, not nearly as much as I was, is the boredom. Being home all day, being next to your pantry all day, being next to the fridge all day. And when you're busy and you have a schedule, it's so much easier to resist the temptation to eat mindlessly because you're in a car, you're working, you're doing things, right? You're following a schedule. So it's so much easier to be on a diet because the diet itself feels like it's part of the regulated schedule. But now we're all in incubation. we're all sitting here, can't do anything all day. So what do? You endlessly snack. You eat mindlessly. You watch Love is Blind and Tiger Cage with Cheez-Its and nachos and pizza and whatever. All the restaurants still deliver. They all deliver. Every single restaurant delivers now. So it's even easier to get food delivered to your house. You have a valid reason not to go outside, because if you live in Maryland, you will get arrested or you will get fined if you get caught, like $5,000 or a year in jail. So there's legit, by the way, if you go to jail, then you're spreading coronavirus to everyone in jail. So that doesn't, like, that wasn't thought out, right? Because, jails, I guarantee everybody in jail has, if one person gets it, they all have it. That wasn't a good idea. That wasn't thought out. Again, that wasn't thought out. That was just a fine and like a ticket to go home, man. Or just like a verbal warning, 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 NGINNRW. That's warning backwards. I do that all the time. Flower, EFLORW, football, ABFLLOT. I spell shit backwards all the time. I don't know. I don't know where I went. I just felt like I blasted off to a different world. But we're back here. We're in the stratosphere. Boom, we're back on Earth. Okay, here we go. So we all have I have an addiction to snacking. I will eat everything. I will eat a large pizza and then order another large pizza if I get bored. So the thing that I recommend, or no, not that I recommend, the thing that I've been doing, the thing that helps me the most is I've been subscribing to a high fat, high protein diet. I'm consuming meat and animal-based only foods. So if you're a vegan, stop listening now. You're not going to like what I say. But if you're somebody who is not a vegan, you're somebody who just wants to be healthy, and you're not a vegan, then listen to what I say. Listen to what I have to say, because I think it can help you a lot. So one of the main reasons why so many people have such an issue with maintaining health is because of empty carbohydrates. Eating food that requires no preparation, eating food that requires no thought, eating food that's easily accessible. That's carbohydrates. Oreos, chips, pizza, things that you don't, not pizza, but you know what I mean, like foods that basically live in your pantry. You just grab and eat. Next thing you know, you ate an extra 1,500 calories a day. Do that 5 days a week. You know, you're looking at, 7,500 calories extra a week. It's going to make you fat. You're also never full. If you're snacking all day on empty carbohydrates, yes, you're eating calories, but you're eating no dense food. You're eating nothing. You're eating a lot of macronutrients, carbs, fats, and proteins, specifically carbs, but you're not eating a lot of micronutrients, things that keep you full, things that keep your body filled. You're also not drinking a lot of water. I'm sure you're not drinking a lot of water if you're eating like shit. So, a way to negate that, a way to really push against that, a way that's helped me tremendously, and I think could help a lot of people. I'm not going to recommend it because I don't think I can do that because I'm not a trained professional in this at all. The one thing that I really think can help people is, at least for this time being, subscribe to a low carb lifestyle. Start only eating animal products. It helps tremendously. For one thing, it stabilizes your blood pressure. When you're eating carbs all day, your blood pressure's spiking. You're getting sugar spikes. Your insulin spiking all day. You're infiltrating your whole body with sugar, simple sugar. So your body goes. It's like on a roller coaster all day. There's no homeostasis inside of your body, right? But when you drop the carbs and you're only eating meat, steaks, burgers, eggs, even cheese, butter, your body is not dealing with so much of the empty sugars. It's not fluctuating all day. So you don't get bouts of starvation. That is fake starvation. You are level-headed all day. So, for example, for me, when we started this lockdown, I was like 215. I'm down to like 206 right now. So it's been about 2 weeks. And the way that I'm doing that, this is how my days look. And once again, I think this could help a lot of people. I'm not telling people to do it, but it will help you tremendously. And it's so easy to follow. And that's the hardest thing about diets, is figuring out what and what you can't do. This is so easy to follow. It requires no effort. You can even do carnivore, but that's just meat. That's expensive. The grocery stores they hate you. They already hate me for being on keto. So these are how my days look. I wake up. The hardest thing about being in lockdown is waking up. Like some days I'm waking up at 6. Some days I'm waking up at like 7. And then some days like today I woke up at 9. But some days I wake up at like 10. So you wake up, let's just say 9 o'clock. You fast until about 12:31. You have your first meal. My meals lately have been just 80-20 ground beef with a little bit of cheese and pepperoni. You know, I'm still eating about 2,400 calories a day. So it's about 800 calories. You know, I'm eating right there. So I down that at 1 o'clock. And then my next meal is at like 5 o'clock. I have a few more calories. I only have about 200 to 300 calories. So let's say 300 calories. So that's 1,100 calories right there. I might have a little bit of steak, a little bit more beef, maybe some bacon, maybe some eggs with cheese, whatever. I down that. I'm feeling good. I'm not spiking my insulin. I'm eating foods that are sustaining me. I'm eating a lot of fat, so I feel satiated throughout the day, right? And the cholesterol is not something you should worry about. You should only worry about cholesterol in this diet if you are not strict keto. If you are saying, oh, I'm keto, but I'm eating a lot of fruit, but I'm eating a lot of cereal and protein bars, but I'm still drinking alcohol, but I'm still drinking my calories. You can't do that. You gotta have black coffee with a little bit of butter if you want to. Gotta have water. You could drink a little bit, but low carbs. If you do that loosey-goosey keto, where you're still eating about 100 carbs, 150 carbs a day, yeah, your cholesterol will probably suffer. But if you're eating less than 20 carbs a day, you'll be all right. So right now it's about 6 o'clock. I ate 1,100 calories. I have about 1,200 calories to work out with, 12 to 1,300 calories to work with. I eat my next meal at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then I have a huge meal, a big meal, and I feel so good. And I just went through the whole day without snacking because I don't feel like I have to snack. You're going to get a headache in the first week. You're going to feel sick. You won't have the coronavirus, even though you might think you have the coronavirus. You're just going to feel lethargic. It's your body going through withdrawal from sugar. But after that, you're going to reach a plateau where you don't get these cravings for food. You don't get bored. You kind of just eat. And almost when you eat, you're kind of like, fuck, I got to eat again. Because you got to make all your meals. You got to sit there and cook all your meals so you become one with the food. You make the food delicious. Cook it on the grill. Add some salt, pepper. Have some like Worcestershire sauce, maybe a little bit of blue cheese. Make it good. Have fun with it. But I promise you're going to lose weight. You don't have to. I drop my calories down to a place where I'm going to lose weight slowly. But you don't have to do that. You can eat 3,000 calories a day and just maintain. Do a few push-ups. And you'll be all right. I promise you'll be all right. And the reason why that works for me is because I'm an addict when it comes to food. Once I start, I won't put it down unless I'm physically forced to. And on this diet, I'm physically forced to. After a certain amount of food, you just feel like you hit a wall. It's like I call it like the fat wall. You just feel so fat, but you're not fat. You haven't put on weight. You actually lost weight. It's just your body feeling full in a natural state, not a fake full that you get from a carbohydrate, from chips, cereal, from bread, from bullshit that doesn't actually do anything for your body. I highly recommend it. I think it's something that can help a tremendous amount of people out there. So if you do that, do a few push-ups, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. But that's going to be it for the podcast, guys. Once again, it's going to be okay. Try to work out a little bit. Try to follow, I would recommend to myself, if I was a client, I would say, hey, Michael, I recommend so-and-so, keto, ketogenic, carnivore, maybe, but that's expensive. And I don't know that much behind it. I'm not trained in any of this, so I guess technically I don't really know anything about it, but I know what helps me. This helps me a lot. And you also maintain muscle because you're eating so much protein. But yeah, it works well. But I'm going to see you guys on Tuesday. That's going to be April something. I don't know. We'll see how this thing works out. I'll catch you guys on Tuesday. If you guys are listening to this audio only, make sure you guys leave it a written description. Leave it a rating. I think we're like 31 ratings, 5 stars, everything. I'm blessed for that. Thank you so much. On YouTube, make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, check out all the clips. Thank you guys so much. Have a blessed and a beautiful day.